Hey, Happy New Year! It's 2023. I can hardly believe it. Today is New Year's Day, and I have had a wonderful year so far. I spent the morning at church, Maui Church, New Thought non-denominational church, and it was really powerful because we talked about how our teachings are really philosophy, psychology, science, and various religions. We have a golden thread that threads through all of the different religions, and the minister today called it a spiritual psychology, which I absolutely believe. I pretty much feel like I can get a psychology degree at this point from all the coaching and therapeutic training and ministerial training and master's classes in consciousness studies that I have been doing these last few years. And in one of my last videos, I told you or shared with you I was collaging. So I've got two quotes for this new year. This is one of the journals that I'm writing in, and this is one of my quotes for the year. We must be willing to let go of the life we planned so as to have the life that is waiting for us. I'm reading that backwards, so I hope I got that right. But this is just really powerful for me because I'm not a big planner, but I do also plan things. And as you know, I'm going into this year starting cancer treatment. And so letting go of expectations of plans so that I can have the life that's waiting for me. And some other fun things on the back here. Fall in love with taking care of yourself. Self-care is a huge part of what I'm doing. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. So just some stickers and some powerful quotes. And then my second quote for the year is, the only thing that is ultimately real about the journey is the step that you are taking at this moment. That's all there ever is. That's a quote by Alan Watts. I love the guys hiking. The previous one was Joseph Campbell. I forgot to mention that. But again, just some pictures, some stickers that I have kind of used contact paper on here. I'm grateful. God is good. Positive affirmations. I like this one. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. So one last thing I'll share here. Living NLP 2023 is so beautiful. I'm doing this program. I am an NLP practitioner, and I'll be sharing more NLP along the way as we go through this course. But back to habits. So I think I've mentioned this in some of my previous videos. This year, I am going to be sharing with you how I'm going to hack myself. I'm going to hack my habits. I am writing down here in a little bit some of the habits that I'm working on letting go of and replacing them with new ones. And for me, what I found is accountability is huge. If I have a bookmark, a beginning and an end, and I say this is what I'm going to do, and then I report that this is what I did, usually to another person or on a video like this and sharing it with you, I do it. It just is what worked for me. I've learned that accountability is huge, and I think a lot of that has to do with my ADHD brain and the way my brain works, and I am no longer going to beat myself up for it. I'm unapologetically loving the way I need to work on myself, and with that accountability and that self-awareness. So you're going to start seeing more in these videos about what I'm doing. I'll tell you right now, one thing is I am working on letting go of binge watching shows. I shouldn't say I'm working on letting go. I am letting go because I have decided that I'm going to have strategies for that. One of them is watching only when I'm on my treadmill in the house, or maybe when I'm doing the dishes. But really being with myself when I'm uncomfortable and not wanting to feel what I'm feeling, because numbing and binge watching is one of the ways that I do that. I don't know if that's how you do it, but I get sucked down a rabbit hole, and then instead of doing things that are important to me, I spend way too many hours in front of I watch most of my shows on my iPad, too many hours in front of the iPad. So I hope that you've been spending New Year's Day kind of looking at your goals. I don't like to call them resolutions, but they're my intentions and my goals. I did a fabulous intention workshop this morning with Josh Reeves, and then my sister came over. Actually, we did it together online here at the house. She was here, and we spent some time talking about our businesses and our future. and moving forward. So I would love to hear, what are your goals or your intentions for 2023, and how are you going to actually put them in place? For me, it's all about habits. When I have habits in place, that's how I meet my goals. When I have accountability in place, when I have my goals and my intentions in front of me, I'm very visual. So if they're hiding in a notebook and I don't see them, then they don't happen. So I'm working on how do I make them more visual. And I'm doing the whiteboard thing every day. I'm not sure if I've told you about that, but I'll tell you more about that in the next video. So I'm really grateful for all your love and support. Keep watching, keep hanging in there. All right, so after all that writing and reflection and introspection, this is how I'm starting this year. So I mentioned earlier about Netflix binging, right? Sometimes I get stuck in too many. And part of that is, well, part of it is just, you know, the shows are meant to just keep repeating over and over, right? But part of it is not wanting to feel my feelings. And often that was happening in the evenings, kind of when I'm tired, and, you know, also feeling like I worked so hard today and whatever it was, that I deserve it. But by actually watching so many shows and getting to bed late and not getting good night's sleep, I'm basically giving myself a disservice. So that's not helping me at all. So I mentioned only walking on the treadmill when I do that, but what I'm really also going to do is to do some journaling, to writing when I feel that urge to want to just check out and watch a show. Like I already noticed it in the last hour since the first part of this video, that I was like, oh, well, I'm watching Chippendales right now on Hulu. And when am I going to watch that? And I had that thought that if I watch the first one, I'll want to watch another one and another one. So I'm not going to let myself watch that until I'm walking on my treadmill, which will probably be tomorrow because it's going to be snowy and cold. So I want to share the 3 things, and this is my accountability right here because I'm telling you this, I'm going to post it. There's no way I'm not going to do these things if I'm making it this public. So I'm going to work on hacking my habit of binge watching shows, not preparing healthy food. So here's the thing. I went to Costco yesterday. I got a ton of food, also King Soopers, and I have blackberries. I have raspberries. I bought some celery to juice, and I have a smoothie mix. So I like to do a celery juice every single morning. What I do is I juice a bunch for the week, and I have it in a pitcher, and then I do, 5 to 10 ounces. Since I got diagnosed with breast cancer, I have not done it. It's a huge pain in the butt to clean the juicer, but that's why I try to do it once a week, and then I have juice for the week. But it's been 2 months. I've had time. I just haven't done it, but it's so healthy for me. It really helps my digestive system stay normal. And same with my smoothies. You know what's funny? I don't like to eat. Actually, I liked emotional eating, and I like to eat really good food if someone else prepares it, but I'm not a cook. I don't really... Eating is like, for fuel, but for me, it's more of a pain in the butt because I am gluten-free. That's by allergy. I'm vegetarian by choice. And eating out with people is challenging. People want to make me food or prepare things for me, and it's hard, but I really stick to that. So eating smoothies, long story short, coming back to smoothies, same thing with the smoothies. I make a whole blender full, and I have 4 or 5 smoothies for the week. I'll have them as one of my meals. I only seem to need to eat 2 meals a day because I must have a very slow metabolism because I can gain weight if I stop moving, and I'm a little nervous about this cancer journey and what's going to happen. But so not preparing food, that is the second one, and I am going to be preparing food. So tonight, before I go to bed, I will be making the smoothies and juicers, and it takes me about an hour, which leads me to something I'm a tangent person, so bear with me. I have this Marie Forleo program that I bought called Time Genius, and I am going to work on tracking my time. So when I did my journaling earlier, this writing of all of this, it only took me 24 minutes. And in my head, it's like, oh God, I got to spend hours figuring this stuff out. Hours, 3 to 4 hours. I don't have that kind of time, so then I don't do it. It took 24 minutes. And so this is time that I'm working on these things instead of watching these shows. And then it reminded me, the third thing is reading. So I love how people like set these goals every year. I'm looking for my book that I just had here a second ago. Oh, here it is. So people set goals of, I'm gonna read so many books a year. I love reading, and I don't read very much. Even though I have lots of amazing books, most of my books, I don't always get to the end. Follow through is a really hard thing, and that's an ADHD thing that's really common. But I can follow through when I have clarity on chucking things down, when I have clarity on awareness of how long things take, when I'm gonna do them. So Tiny Habits, right here you'll see, is a powerful book that I was reminded of, thank goodness, this morning in church, because I was looking at my audiobook. I have it on audio. Here is the PDF that goes with it, which is actually a lot of pages. And I was reminded of it this morning, and the Maui habit is this, to say every morning, today is going to be a great day, or it's going to be a great day. So I just wrote myself a sticky note. Here it is. Today is going to be a great day. And I'm going to put it next to my watch where I charge it at night, or by my phone that's charging, which is far away from my bed, so I won't scroll in bed on my phone. And I'm gonna start saying that every morning. And long story short, back to reading. I wanna start reading. And as I mentioned, some people say, oh, I'm gonna read this many books a year, this year. Well, I'm not gonna say a number right now because I have no idea how long it takes me to read things. Time blindness is, again, another ADHD thing. So that means, like, sometimes I think I need to leave the house at 9:30. So I think I'm leaving the house at 9:30 in the morning, and then I'm filling up my water bottle. I'm getting out my boots. I realize I gotta check the weather. And next thing you know, it's 10 minutes later. So I do not have the best relationship with time, and I'm working on that. So this is what I wrote down. The first book I'm gonna start with is Living Clean. This is part of my recovery. I have 20 years of recovery, and I'm gonna start reading this book again. And what I'm going to do is track in January, this month, how much time I read. So I might write in my book, or I might write in my journal or my phone, when I start, when I stop, and look at the number of pages, see how far I got. I'm not a super detailed person, so I'm going to be very kind and compassionate with myself as I start this journey. But my intention is to see, can I read this whole book in a month? I don't know. I'm starting, treatment for cancer. I'm building my business from scratch. I got a lot going on, but what I know is I won't be watching a lot of shows. So I will probably be reading more. I'll be working on my business and to-do list. And then what I'm gonna do at the end of the month is see, how far did I get? Did I read a whole book? Did I read half a book? How many pages? How long? And then I'll start to make a more calculated, specific goal about moving forward to determine how many books I can read. And honestly, if I read 5 or 10 more books this year than I did last year, that's a win. Which reminds me, in Tiny Habits, they talk about celebrating, saying, I did it, I nailed it. And as I was looking through this companion PDF for the book, at the very back, it has an appendix, which I love this appendix. It's got 100 different ways to celebrate. And it's different things like smile big, I love to smile. Say, I nailed it. And so right now I'm super proud of myself for doing all of this so far. You're getting this video, it's probably gonna be, 10, 15 minutes, because I just like to talk. But I'm sharing with you my vulnerable process. And one last thing I'm gonna share, because I have been talking for a while, I need a little break, is that one of my intentions this year, we wrote this morning in this workshop about relationships, about success, and health and well-being. So one of my relationship goals this year is to have a deeper conscious connection with my higher power, God, spirit, source, basically my faith. I don't like to, let's say, give it one name, but it's this deeper level of faith, because I've had my near-death experience, I've had my brush with death in childhood. And here I go again into this thing. And I have really compartmentalized in the past. Like, here's my recovery community, here's my spiritual church community, here's my yoga community, here's my 4 or 5 people that really know the true, real me, the vulnerable me. And then there's also this big part of me that nobody knows. And I am really just working on letting go of that, because that's my tricky mind that's trying to convince me of things that aren't the healthiest part for me. So I am going to, oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought of why I was bringing all that up with you. But my goal, that is my goal, to have a deeper conscious contact with spirit, with self. And that's me, and that's you, because I believe in oneness, that we're all one. So I've written down 4 things that I am going to do daily to deepen. This is actually the action to make that intention or goal real. So every day I'm going to pray. I do affirmative prayer. It's a 5-step process. I'll share more with you about that later. I'm going to journal, and maybe that's only 5 minutes. I'm going to stop and breathe, because I can move so fast, and I can hold my breath and not be breathing and not stop. And that, I could be sitting still and stopping, but my brain is going crazy. So I'm going to stop and breathe, only breathe. And then the 4th one is to move my body. The best way for me to shift energy is to move my body. And even if I'm not feeling well, I'm going to move my body. Maybe it's just raising my arms up. This is like my power pose. My namaste in play just makes me happy. It's a breakthrough extension. It's a breakthrough energy. So those are my 4 things. So I know I've packed a ton in here, but this is my accountability. And I hope that somehow this supports you, that inspires you, that encourages you to look at your life and how can you hack your life and start changing it for the better. Like, look at those things. And I am really doing this with so much compassion and empathy for myself, because years ago, feels like another lifetime, but 20, 30 years ago, when I was a personal trainer, I was so good at setting unrealistic goals and then beating myself up for not meeting them. I didn't know it at the time they were unrealistic, but now I do. And so what I am doing is setting intentions. I do have goals that I will create as well, some pretty big ones for the year, but these are just massive intentions that I'm focusing on. And how can I create habits? It's all about the habits. Hacking the habits is the theme this year, which I have my words for the year, but I'll share that in another video. So hacking the habits is really the theme for the year. And I'm going to share my journey with you while I'm going through breast cancer and creating my business from scratch. Business is looking like it's going to really be focused on coaching. So I love you all so much. I am going to think I'm going to close the video here, because this is quite a bit between these 2 segments. So I love you. I hope you love yourself. I love myself. I love life. It's all good. And I want to just sign off with peace and love always. Courageous Casey.